and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about ENHYPEN's Future Perfect, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of the Japanese music video to see how it is connected to the lore and story of Dark Moon the Blood Altar. As always, please keep in mind that this video will contain spoilers for the storyline, with special attention dedicated to the Wattpad version of the events, so if you don't want surprises, please proceed with caution. Also, the Japanese video is basically the sequel of what took place in the Korean version, so to get the full picture, please make sure to take a look at that one as well. Just to sum things up, however, this new video essentially continues right where we left off in the first Pass the Mic. Back in that video, the Vampire Brothers joined forces with Sue and the 4 werewolves in order to investigate the mysterious disappearance of 3 members of the wolf pack. After interrogating a higher-ranking vampire called David, they discovered the existence of a werewolf trafficking ring where the drifters kidnapped the wolves and essentially sold them to buyers who wanted to feed on their blood to grow more powerful. ENHYPEN, Sue and the wolves discovered that the victims were kept in a storage facility in the small town of Estival, so they went, fought the drifters, burned the place down, and freed the wolves for good. Soon enough, however, we found out that the storage of Estival was just the tip of the iceberg, because the trafficking ring actually spanned across different countries. During David's interrogation, Ailey Khan and the others found a matchbox that would later lead them to the discovery of Railgun, which is the location where the werewolf would have been shipped off to if it wasn't for their intervention. In the story, Railgun is a bar located in the small town of Printanier, and this place is actually owned by a vampire master who oversees the trafficking ring on behalf of the mysterious first vampire. After destroying the storage of Estival, ENHYPEN and the others figured that now it was time to go to Printanier and stop the trafficking once and for all. This leads us to the events of the Japanese Future Perfect, where the boys arrive in Printanier and end up confronting the master in Railgun. Now, as I'm sure you've noticed, Sono is not featured in the video, but as it was already announced prior to the release, this is due to medical reasons at the time of filming. It has nothing to do with ENHYPEN or the lore of Dark Moon, so throughout this video please pretend that Sono is with them, because canonically his character is. In the story, Shion is obviously still a character, and an important one at that, and in order to remind us of this, they also included the 7 statues of the knights. Now, these statues are very important here because they actually refer to the past that the Vampire Brothers forgot all about. As we know, in the story, the boys have dreams that they share with each other and with Sue, and these dreams are like residual memories of a forgotten past that they never knew they had. According to these dreams, Sue is a princess. She is the heir to the throne following her mother, the queen, but since she is sick, she was also assigned 7 knights to protect her from danger. The 7 knights are vampire lords who are completely devoted to the princess, and their duty is as relevant now as it was back in the day. In the video, for instance, we see that the statues are holding swords, and so far we know that Ailey already found this when they went back to the Vanfield orphanage years after the attack that was supposed to kill them. Another cool detail, however, is that the knights are wearing hoods, and this is an outfit that brings us right back to Given and Taken. During the dance sequence, the screen behind them actually showed us scenes from a mysterious past that is yet to be uncovered. If you invert the images, you will discover that in front of the beacon there are 7 hooded figures standing in front of a crowd of people who is also wearing hoods. A similar crowd can also be seen in the flashbacks shown in both Drunken Dazed and One in a Billion, thus suggesting that these statues refer to the past that the boys forgot. This idea is also reinforced right at the end, because in the very last scene, ENHYPEN are standing in front of the statues wearing the same uniforms that they wore in Drunken Dazed, Fever, and One in a Billion. These visuals hint at the fact that they are getting closer to know the truth about their identity, but in order to remember the past, they first have to confront the present, which leads us right back to Railgun and its master. You see, in the story, the group not only goes to Printanier to destroy the werewolf trafficking ring, but also because they suspect that the master could be behind the massacre of the orphanage, as well as the attacks on Sua's life. These suspicions will end up being correct, so in order to gain more information, the boys actually capture a drifter and interrogate him. Much like what we see at the very beginning of the video, this time it's Solon the one who takes care of the interrogation, and thanks to him, they discover more information about Railgun. According to the lore, the master of Railgun is a female vampire called Trenna. She is the owner of the bar, as well as the high-ranking vampire in charge of the werewolf trafficking ring. Railgun is a 2-story building where the bar essentially acts as a front for the trafficking. On the first floor you have the bar, and on the second you have Trenna's private rooms acting as the headquarters of the entire operation. As we see in Nikki's scene, in order to gain access to the second floor, you have to enter a password instead of a birdcage. This is a method that the drifters also use to give Trena confidential information, so the boys essentially use it to lure the master out with a bait. Now in the video we see that the entire confrontation takes place in Railgun, but I want to clarify that this is a loose adaptation of the events that we see in the Wattpad. In the story, the Printanier sequence involves several fights, different locations, and confrontations that take place over the span of several days. The video kinda condenses several events into one single battle, to the point that they actually show the monster getting killed, even if at the time I'm recording this, they're still pretty much alive. On top of that, we see that in the video the master is a man, whereas in the Wattpad Trena is a woman. Much like the different spelling of Railgun, this is an artistic liberty they probably took for practical reasons, but the reason why I'm so sure that that's the master is actually because of the fog. You see, in the Wattpad, Trena has the same ability that Sua has to turn into fog, and this is a special skill that makes her very important in the eyes of the first vampire. In the video, we see that when the master appears, they appear through the fog, which is a dead giveaway that this is the entity that we're dealing with. On top of that, the setting is very consistent with their room and what the boys actually discover in it. You see, in one of the many confrontations that they have, the boys attack Railgun and kill many drifters by almost destroying the entire place. This is very similar to what takes place in the video, but in the Wattpad, when Jaka uses his powers to find Trena, she is not there because she already ran away. In her previous fight with them, she was left badly injured, so much so that she fled to go see the first vampire in order to get healed and report the situation. Much like in the Wattpad, however, when the boys raid the bar, they actually find some interesting stuff in Trena's room. As we see in Jungwoo and Sin, for instance, the brothers end up finding a bookshelf behind which they discover a safe. Using his super strength, Jay's character Ian breaks it, and inside of it they find a map and several documents detailing the werewolf trafficking network spanning across the continent. Now this is a huge deal because thanks to these documents, ENHYPEN and the wolves can finally put an end to the trafficking, but as I mentioned earlier, this mess isn't over just yet because Trena is also involved with Sua as well as the massacre at the orphanage. You see, when the master first meets them, she actually recognizes the boys as the quote-unquote little ones that escaped a long time ago. In turn, later that night the boys and Sua dream about her, meaning that even if they don't remember it yet, Trena, Sua and the 7 brothers go way back. When the master tells the first vampire that she encountered the little ones, he allows her to take 70 of his guards in order to reclaim Printanier and capture them. Time is of the essence here because the little ones are not so little anymore and their powers are improving day by day. Once the brothers become adults, that's when their powers will fully awake, so they have to be defeated before that moment. As we see in the video, however, ENHYPEN will not go down without a fight, and if we compare their powers now as opposed to before, they are indeed growing stronger. If at the beginning Jaka's power was super speed, for instance, now he moves so fast that he can teleport and he can use echolocation to learn the position of his enemies. When it comes to Solon instead, we know that he's half and half, so his power grows stronger the more he accepts his werewolf side. In the video we see Ian single-handedly binding the master with rope and destroying the bar with a blast of his fist. Noah controls darkness and is able to use the shadows in order to destroy the enemy, while in the Wattpad we discover that if at first Shion could defy gravity by sticking to walls, now he can actually trap his enemies in the very same way. Gino, on the other hand, is now able to better control fire, and in the Wattpad they also say that he learned to change the temperature of fire in order to burn stronger vampires. Last but not least, we have Eli, who at first could only read minds at a short range, but now is able to use telepathy at a longer distance. On top of that, in the video we also discovered that now he has telekinesis, which is a power that he never had before, and that will seemingly help him defeat the master once and for all. In the MV, we see that after Gino successfully traps Trena with his fire, Ian binds her with the rope, and Ellie threatens her with the swords. This allows him to deliver the final blow and kill the master of Railgun, but right at the end the camera shows us an empty cup and the framed picture of a man. Now this is actually an important detail because the image actually reveals the identity of the first vampire, which, as it turns out, is a man that both Sue and the boys recognize from their dreams. The man in the picture is none other than Chancellor Dardan, the Queen's advisor and right-hand man. He's supposed to be the Queen's greatest friend, and yet he's actually the biggest snake because after all this time, he's still after the princess and her power. To know how the story will unfold, we'll have to wait and see, but in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.